future is here. You now have the power to unlock the secrets of the hobby. An innovation that will change the way the industry works. The game changer is here. Card Ladder.
Welcome to Kristina's Corner. Today I am sitting down with Sophia Chang. Sophia is one of the 20 amazing artists creating her own reimagined set for Topps Project 2020. She's an artist, illustrator, designer, and public speaker. There is nothing this woman cannot do. Her client list includes literally all of my favorite things, from Apple to Lululemon, Warby Parker to Beats, Madewell, Aerie, Nike, the NBA, Doc Martens, Disney, Puma, the list goes on, and so many more. It's an honor to sit down with you. Welcome, Sophia.
Thanks for having me. Hi, Kristina.
Hi. So before we begin, I just want to give a shout out to two people who helped put this interview together. John at DRTH Collector on Instagram and longtime friend of House of Jordans, and Andy, AC, on Sophia's side. John reached out to Sophia via her Discord, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and made the introduction. And then Andy, AC, helped coordinate things from Sophia's end. I appreciate you both. So I just wanted to say a quick thanks. And let's get on with the interview.
Awesome.
So let's talk cards. I want to tell you, Sophia, that I love your Gibson.
Thank you so much.
Yes. As my listeners know, pinked cracked ice sets for basketball are always my favorite to collect every year. So the Sophia Gibson speaks to me on that level.
Great.
So I must ask, do you collect cards?
No, I actually don't, but I started ever since being a part of this project.
Okay. And how many Project 2020 cards have you purchased?
I've purchased quite a few, but very few of them have showed up. Obviously, everyone's having the same issue. So I actually honestly can't keep count. I just buy them because I like the illustration, not even in relation to like the player or anything like that. I see it as art and I wanted to have a little bit of it. And it's an affordable entry point.
Oh, for sure. And I'm pretty much on the same boat with you. Not many have showed up, but the few that I do have actually sit behind me on the shelf. And I have so many more coming. I always get excited when I see that package from Florida arrive because I'm like, which one's it going to be? Because I forget. Right? Like you purchase them and then it seems like a month goes by and it's like,
yeah, you lose track, you lose count, and I'm just like, it'll show up when it shows up.
Yes. So might I ask, how did you get tapped for Project 2020?
It wasn't really a spectacular story, to be honest. It's just email showed up one day and, Topps had reached out. They had this this project scoped out and we got on a call, we talked about it and they were like, we just wanted to gauge your interest to see if you're interested. This is probably like end of 2019 when the world was a normal place. God, seems like ages ago. But yeah, no, I mean, I had expressed my interest. I was totally down. I honestly don't come from a background of baseball or baseball card collection. I was just really excited to be prompted to create a body of work. So obviously I was head over heels for the opportunity. And then a couple weeks later, we actually formally got started. But there was a bit of a little break in between. I'm assuming they were reaching out to all the artists to get a sense of their interest.
Yeah. And so what do you, when you sit down to redesign one of these cards, what is your inspiration? Where do you start? What does that process look like?
Yeah, I don't come from this background. So for me, it's really exciting, really interesting. There's obviously no like preliminary associations with a lot of these players, right? So it's there's no biases. So it's a pretty even playing field. With every artist I think has like a bit of a different process. Like most of us received all of the card artwork ahead of time. Some artists just, did all of them in one go. For me, I kind of work based on the order that they give me my cards in. So I have all 20 like card files, but I haven't done any like illustrations on them. They're just kind of the raw image that I can work with. And, every few weeks, Topps will reach out to me and be like, hey, here are your next few players. Usually it's like a batch of 3 or 4, and I just kind of stay within that window. It also just helps me creatively so I don't burn out. But, I just kind of work on them closer and closer to date. My process is normally a lot of research ahead of time. I want to get to know the player. I mean, I've mentioned this before. I feel like baseball culture is huge in I'm born and raised American, but like, I just think it's a huge part of American history. There's just so much associated with it. And I feel like each of these cards, not only are they beautifully designed in that period of time, but the players represent something for that period of time. And so I feel like my responsibility for me as an illustrator is to best bring out all the great elements and tell this amazing story of this player at that point in time, speak to the general masses of baseball fans, but also baseball collectors and also people who are specifically fans of this player. So I do a lot of research as far as quotes, anything prominent that they might have accomplished in their career, sometimes statistics as well. I know a lot of people kind of have gone back and forth as far as what some of the numbers represent. So it's exciting to see that fans are striking dialogue amongst the community as far as like what these little statements cue to. And yeah, so kind of just really trying to maintain the core of the card itself, whether it's the color or certain shapes or the silhouette of the player themselves. Like, what are all the different ways that, me as an illustrator, what can I help kind of bring to life in my own voice?
Yeah, I love it. I'm a huge nerd. So I love all of the research and little pieces of trivia that you like Easter egg into your cards. I find it very exciting. Like when I see your cards drop, I'm not a baseball fan. I'm a basketball card collector. So I'm being introduced to a lot of these players for the first time through Topps 2020, which I know people are going to like come after me about, but it's true. But I find that after I see your card, I go and I do research, like, what does this mean? Or what was her inspiration for that saying?
Yeah.
Like what connects that to this card and this player? So I've been loving your little homework that you've been giving me through Topps 2020.
Awesome. Thanks. That's exciting to hear that like people are like going out of their way to do a little bit of research, but that's fun.
It is. It's been a lot of fun. So I get to see this beautiful card and then I get to go do some like geeking out on like connecting what you did to it. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. So I always look forward to your drops. So let's talk about what's on deck. Who is your next card?
My next card is actually coming out, I think Thursday. Let me check my calendar. Thursday. Yeah, I think it's coming out this coming Thursday.
Okay.
And a big player. Wait, what is this episode dropping?
Tuesday. It'll be on Tuesday night.
Okay.
So 2 days or like a day and a half before the card drops.
Got it.
Do you want to?
I don't know how much I'm supposed to say, but I'm just gonna say it's a really big player.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got actually, I don't think I've done too many big players at all in my run so far. So I think there's a few that are coming up. So it's just really exciting to see how the rest of the year rolls out.
So if I guess, will you like blink twice if I'm right?
Sure. I'll smile.
Okay.
I'm very bad at lying. So, I'll probably like do a twitch anyways.
Okay. Is it Trout? Ichiro?
Oh, I did Ichiro already.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it, so it's not Trout? No. Okay. Oh, no. Okay. McGuire?
Huh?
Jeter? I know you're from New York, so is it? I'm trying to think who a big player is to you.
Right.
Because they're all big players, right? These are like 20 GOATs, greatest of all time, rookie cards. So it's hard to, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know.
You said one of the names already.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go, guys. So get ready on Thursday for
there. Yeah.
They're happening. Okay, I'm very excited. I can't wait for it to happen. And I know that you also just started your artist signature series. Yeah. So I want to touch on that so people can know where to go and how to get your autographed cards.
Yep.
So can they go to your website, or do you have a special?
So my background in terms of the space that I work in is very all over the place in a good way. So like I have a lot of businesses going on, and there's a lot of different types of traffic that goes to my website. And I think with Topps, it's a very, very specific community. And so I've created like a separate web shop that people can go to. I literally thought it was linked to my website, but it isn't. So I have to fix that soon. It's been really crazy. Just like I had a web shop that I had set up to do my first round of signatures for Roberto Clemente, but the website, the host that I put my website on has like a transaction feature, but they couldn't handle the influx of transactions. So long story short, there was a lot of technical issues. I spent 3 weeks adding in specific items for like 6 different drops, and each of the drops have 5 different types of editions. And so it took a lot of time. And then this entire website ended up not working out. So then I had to move everything to a whole new website within like a weekend. So it's been a lot of work. I think there's a lot of back end stuff that people don't necessarily realize, especially when like you're a very, very, very small team in the midst of everything that's going on in the planet. So yeah, there's like little things that fall through the cracks. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to update the link. But yeah, typically if you go to my website and you click shop, it's there. Of course, I can easily just like share a easier link for people. But I think I kind of like the hunt a little bit more. I think if you really want it, you'll put in the effort to look for the link, because it's not that hard. You just go to, my main website, you click shop, usually it's there right now. And also I have to like switch between what I usually have in my web shop, which is most of my like illustration artwork. And then during the actual launch days, I have it password protected for the first 5 minutes. Like people who are in my Discord channel, we share the password with them so that they can get access to it. And this way bots don't get to it. I was specifically trying to avoid Shopify because of the bots issue, but then that was also the only platform that gave us the most control and just like ease to be able to track people's orders. If there's any issues, you're looking at the front end and the back end. So it was a big, not like headache, but just definitely a lot of hurdles we had to jump through in order to set up just the autograph process.
Yeah, I'm sure. That seems frustrating. So I'm sorry you've had to deal with that, but I'm looking forward to, and I know a lot of other people are, your autographed series. So everyone go hunt it down. This way we can all help to keep bots away, which is a great asset to the community. So thank you for tying that in before and preemptively thinking about how to solve an issue before it came up. That's always
the best way for anyone. Honestly, this is kind of a bit of a rabbit hole for people to go through, but the Discord channel is super awesome. I'm pretty active in there. The community is super great. We've got like a good crew of people who are very proactive, and it's just really interesting in terms of like my Discord channel. They don't just talk about my cards. We have this really interesting community that talks about the collection and the project as a whole. And so if anyone is interested in, more shop related information, they can always go into our Discord and just like get engaged with our community.
Perfect. I highly recommend. Okay. So, might I ask, what do you think makes Project 2020 so successful?
I think it's just like the perfect ingredients of like COVID, people being stuck at home, sports being out for a while. And it's also just such an affordable entry point. And plus this like for me, being someone who's in this kind of street art, sneakers, streetwear space, implementing artists like myself has been a conversation for a very long time in like mainstream, outside of just like your sports, your more mainstream sports space and cooler brands like Nike or Adidas. But you know, a lot of brands are trying to tap into this specific community of artists that help elevate storytelling, that help elevate consumer product, just everything. And so, you know, I was just so excited to see the success of Project 2020 because I felt like this meant that it really proved and had the data to just show the world how much stake graphic designers, street artists, illustrators have in just our everyday life. You know, like there's a reason why print publications that were the main source of media for so many decades and centuries implemented artists like myself, in addition to, you know, photographers and stuff like that. We are like storytellers. We're here to help amplify voices, amplify stories. And, you know, Project 2020 did such a good job curating such a very diverse group of artists, with like graphic artists like me and Ermsey that are a little bit, or Keith Shore, down to someone that's like Tyson Beck and, you know, Blake. Everyone's just so different, from painters to illustrators to, you know, some people who are more Photoshop heavy. And so I think it just opened so many doors for us in the future. And hopefully, you know, there'll be more artist projects like this in the future. I mean, I'm having so much fun working on every single card. I don't know how every card is going to look like until I start working on it. And I'm super carefree where little mistakes happen, where I might click something and something weird happens and I'm like, oh, that was interesting. I'm learning Photoshop even though I've been using it for 15 years, but I like the carefreeness of it, and it's just a all around really exciting series to work on.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I'm not a baseball collector, and because of Project 2020, I've started collecting baseball, obviously through Project 2020. And then I've had some listeners send me baseball cards because they're like, Kristina, how can you not collect baseball? But so it's been an interesting entry point into like a different branch of the hobby community to me. For sure.
Even for me, I started buying cards just because I loved it. And I've always been someone that sees art and design and everything in life. Like, I'll frame a t-shirt if I thought it was cool. I'll frame a shopping bag or a folder because I thought it was really cool. And so I feel like, you know, this series, obviously I'm an artist in the series, but even if I wasn't, I'd probably buy some of these cards as well, just because they're a little piece of art that you can have around.
Exactly. I always say to people, I keep my art in a shoebox because my art is cards. So my walls might be bare, but my shoebox is full of little art pieces. So it's really cool to add established artists like yourself and the other Project 2020 artists into my art collection through this.
Hey.
Yeah. So let's talk about your art. What was your first artistic aspiration?
I mean, I'm an only child, and I didn't grow up with, I mean, not until I got into elementary school, but I didn't really hang out with a lot of kids similar to my age. And so it was really just me and my parents, and clearly I do a lot. I have a lot of energy, and I think now into like my adult career years, I realized what all of that energy was for. But, you know, I was bored all the time, and I would definitely get myself into a lot of trouble. And so art and drawing was just my way of keeping busy, keeping myself mentally sane and entertained. And so it really dates back to like all my memories, childhood memories have to do with some sort of drawing. All right.
And who were and potentially are some of your biggest inspirations in your work?
You know, and this may speak to a lot of my portfolio since it's not limited to just illustration and design, but I've always been someone who draws inspiration from everything, from a movie, from a store experience to music to, just simple design, museums and stuff like that. I mean, specifically within art, like I'm heavily inspired by European art. I love art history. One of my goals later on in life is to just be like a museum tour guide. I would really love to do that. But Baroque art is one of my favorites. It's European. That period of time had a lot of like interesting pigments that were introduced. So like back in the day when people did oil painting, they have to actually buy powders from the apothecary in order to mix their paint and mix their oils. And so I might be wrong, but I think Prussian blue was a very well-known, maybe I'm wrong, but let's just say it anyways, like as if I know what I'm talking about. But Prussian blue is a very like pungent blue color that may or may not have come from Japan at that time over to Europe. I might totally be getting my timelines mixed up and sounding like I know what I'm talking about. Regardless,
Baroque totally know what you're talking about.
Baroque art. I'm gonna actually Google it right now. Prussian blue, Japan, Europe. Anyways, so Baroque art was really well for a period of artwork that had really interesting compositions with a lot of like soaring dynamic lines and colors and shadows that actually just really majestic, but it actually created so much energy in the actual painting that invited the viewer to just look at it from so many different angles, and you were almost like processing different narratives all at once. And me growing up in New York City and just being a city person and being hyper stimulated on the subway train where there's someone falling asleep, someone's playing with the person's hair next to them, and the outside like cityscape down to your podcast that might be on, and you're scrolling on Instagram. This hyper stimulation was always a big common thread in a lot of the work that I do. So it's like, how can I invite someone, a viewer, to stop in their tracks and just within milliseconds be able to suck them into this narrative and this story that I'm trying to tell, whether it's baseball cards, whether it's a Adidas sneaker campaign, and so forth. And I think there's a lot that you can do, a lot that you can translate just through art, and art doesn't exist in just 2D. I think, even you walking in Soho, walking into a retail store, hearing the sounds, seeing the colors, seeing the stories, even like an Applebee's, like that's exciting to me. And I love that aspect of storytelling, whether it's experiential or, visual.
All right, well said. I like it. So how would you, I mean, you kind of answered that with that last question. Describe your style. And it seems that your style is like everything that you see around you inspires you, and there's the experiential art, and there's the visual art, and then there's the auditory art that you use to pull into your style, which is really cool. So I think that's amazing. I always love to hear about how artists, as someone who's not very artistic but has a huge, deep appreciation for art, I always love to hear about how artists gain their inspiration and what they draw into their pieces. So when you're working, what do you listen to, or what do you watch play in the background during studio time?
I mean, earlier on in my career where I wasn't as busy, I would definitely have stuff on in the background. Like my favorite shows would be The Office or Parks and Recreation. Like that stuff, I can almost recite like every single line in those shows. So just like really carefree, easygoing shows in the background. And then, I'm like from New York and grew up in listening to hip hop and rap. So that was definitely a huge influence in terms of the music that I listened to. But nowadays I have so much going on and so much going on in my mind that I kind of work in silence. And it's actually just because I need to focus, because there's just so much going on. And so, yeah, it's been the soundtrack of just my thoughts.
All right. Those can also be very inspirational, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a GOAT or dream project that you would like to work on?
Yeah, I mean, I just launched a tech platform that's a one-stop shop for women's sneakers. So it's a new venture into just the tech space, like combining everything I've ever covered in my career, from art and design to web design to just the community that I come from, and really just what I stand for and would like to create in a business. So that's definitely a whole new venture. As a businesswoman, but like I think as an illustrator and designer, one of my most prominent projects was with Puma. In 2013, I created their top lifestyle grossing collection they had ever made that was sold globally. It was men's, women's apparel and footwear, and that was also one of the projects where everyone was a little confused why like a woman would design sneakers. It was so early in the space, and at that time, corporate brands really worked with celebrities mainly. They didn't work with like normal everyday artists like myself. So it was really huge. It got me into museums and a lot of cool books, and I'm super honored for the opportunity. And I think down the line, I'd love to have the opportunity to be able to like work on my own collection again. At some point. Obviously, our world is changing, the fashion space is changing, and so we'll see how it goes. But I think for now, I'm always kind of aspiring for a lot, too much sometimes. And so I think Common Ace is really like the new focus, the one-stop shop sneaker marketplace that I've been working on. That's really my new focus for now. But yeah, I mean, also in the past 7 years, I also started a health and wellness platform called Undo Ordinary that's really focused on, majority of my work is connecting the dots and storytelling, but Undo Ordinary is all about creating access and connecting the creative community with the message of health and wellness, given the fact that like we're hunched over our desk for hours, drawing, whatever. That dialogue of health and wellness is like a whole new space and separate from the creative community. And so I've always been personally interested in bridging different worlds. So I'm kind of doing that with Common Ace as well, as far as like just offering access to the community and, using my skills as an artist and designer and leveraging the people that I know to see what we can create all together.
Very nice. Well, I wish you the best. I know you're going to kill it. So when you aim for the, what do they say? Like when you aim for the
stars?
But it's like when you aim for the moon, even if you miss, you end up in the stars kind of a thing.
That's good.
So I'm a big fan of large aspirations. And so I hope you have nothing but the best and have fun while doing it, because that's the most important part.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So what is one thing, so in conclusion, what is one thing that the sports card hobby might not know about you or your work that you would like to set the record on?
Well, gosh. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of weird because like I feel like these sports card people, they know a lot already. Like even you, like my introduction, I was like, wow, she knows the entire client list. I'm not sure, to be honest, but we'll see. Check back in a few months.
I would love to. So thank you so much for joining me today. And it's been such an honor and pleasure to talk to you. And I hope that we can potentially do a check-in later on in the year, hopefully when things settle down, and we could talk about how amazing your Project 2020 set is now that it's complete, because I'm really looking forward to seeing every artist's complete set and seeing if they stuck to certain themes or if they went different. So right now I see a lot of themes, but a year is a very long time. So it'll be interesting if a style of an artist changes like even minutely, that you would then be able to see it in their card designs. So I'm looking very forward to the end product. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you again. And thank you everyone for listening and watching and tuning in today. As always, appreciated. Make sure you subscribe and like, and don't forget to go check out Sophia's website. I'll put the link in the description. And yeah, yay. And make sure that you sign up for her Discord so you have 5 extra minutes before anyone tries to get a bot in there. So thanks, guys. Have a good one.